He stood over his daughter's body, said goodbye forever. But 16 minutes later, her phone rang. People said Marcus Bell had everything. At 48, he was one of the most powerful black billionaires in the country. Private jets, glass towers, boardrooms where men twice his age waited for his approval before speaking. But on this morning, none of that mattered. Before we begin, subscribe and stay with us, because this story takes a turn no parent should ever face. Marcus stood frozen in a white hospital hallway, staring at a red light above a closed operating room door. His daughter, Alana, was inside, 16 years old, bright, stubborn, too smart for her own good. The only person in the world who could look at Marcus Bell and speak without fear. The doctor had said the surgery was routine. Marcus hated that word. Routine meant rushed. Routine meant careless. He checked his phone again. 3 missed calls, all from Alana, sent before she was wheeled into surgery. He hadn't answered. Another vibration. This time, the phone stayed dark. No call. Just silence. Minutes stretched into hours. The red light didn't change. A nurse walked past, avoiding his eyes. That's when Marcus felt it, that quiet, sinking feeling in the chest, the kind no amount of money could silence. Finally, the door opened. A doctor stepped out. No rush, no smile. Marcus knew before the man spoke. "Mr. Bell," the doctor said softly, "we need to talk." The world narrowed to a single sound. Marcus's heart beat pounding in his ears. The doctor explained something about complications, about unexpected bleeding, about efforts made and efforts lost. Marcus heard the words, but they felt unreal, like they belonged to someone else's life. "I'm sorry," the doctor finished. "Your daughter didn't make it." The hallway spun. Marcus grabbed the wall to stay standing. Didn't make it. 4 words. Enough to destroy empires. They led him to a quiet room. A sheet-covered body lay on a bed. Marcus's hands trembled as he reached forward. When he pulled the sheet back, he saw her face, still, pale. Alana. He dropped to his knees. Tears came without permission. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I should have answered." Minutes later, a nurse handed him a clipboard. Time of death. Consent forms. Final signatures. Marcus signed without reading, because grief doesn't read. As he stood to leave the room, a nurse hesitated. "Sir," she began, then stopped. Marcus turned. "What?" he asked. She swallowed. "Nothing. I'm sorry for your loss." Marcus nodded and walked away. He didn't know it yet, but that moment, right there, was the last moment before everything went wrong. Marcus didn't remember leaving the hospital. One moment, he was standing beside Alana's still body. The next, he was sitting in the back seat of his car, staring out at traffic that refused to stop moving. The world kept going. That felt wrong. Outside, people laughed. Drivers honked. A street vendor argued over change. Marcus closed his eyes. 16 years. That was all he got. His phone buzzed. For half a second, hope flared, sharp and stupid. Then he saw the name. Unknown number. He ignored it. What could anyone possibly want from him right now? The driver asked quietly, "Sir, where to?" Marcus opened his mouth to answer, but no words came. Home felt too empty. The office felt meaningless. "Just drive," he said. The car moved. Marcus's mind replayed moments he hadn't thought about in years. Alana learning to ride a bike. Alana refusing to cry when she fell. Alana asking him, "Why do you work so much?" He had laughed then. Now the memory crushed him. His phone buzzed again. Same number. This time, Marcus snapped. "Answer it," he said sharply. The driver hesitated, then handed the phone back. Marcus pressed it to his ear. "Yes?" he barked. Static, then breathing, heavy, uneven. "Hello?" Marcus said again. A voice finally spoke, soft, unsure. "Mr. Bell, this is Mercy General Hospital." Marcus stiffened. "My daughter just died there," he said coldly. "Do not call me again." I know, sir," the voice replied. "I'm calling about a follow-up." Marcus laughed, a short, bitter sound. "There is nothing to follow up on." The line went silent. Then the voice returned, quieter now. "Sir, could you confirm Alana Bell's date of birth?" Marcus's grip tightened. "Why?" he asked. Another pause. "It's procedure," the voice said. "There appears to be a discrepancy." Marcus felt anger surge. "You people already took her life," he said. "Now you want paperwork?" "I'm very sorry, sir," the voice said quickly. "We just need to clarify." Marcus hung up. His hand shook. Something about the call felt wrong. He stared at his phone. No new notifications, no missed calls from Alana. Just silence. When Marcus finally arrived home, the house greeted him with a stillness so deep it hurt. Alana's shoes sat by the door. Her backpack leaned against the wall. Everything looked the same, except she was gone. Marcus walked into his study and collapsed into his chair. That's when he noticed it. A voicemail, time-stamped 10 minutes after her declared time of death. From Alana's number. Marcus's heart stopped. His finger hovered over the screen, and in that moment, fear replaced grief. Marcus stared at the screen. Alana's name glowed back at him. For a long moment, he didn't move. The room felt smaller, the silence louder. He checked the timestamp again. 10:47 a.m. Her time of death was recorded at 10:31 a.m. 16 minutes. 16 impossible minutes. His thumb hovered over the voicemail icon. "What if it's old?" he whispered to himself. "What if the system delayed it?" He pressed play. At first, there was nothing but faint background noise. Then, "Dad!" Marcus sucked in a sharp breath. It was her voice, weak, unsteady. "Dad, I can't move," Alana whispered. "Everything feels heavy." Marcus stood up so fast his chair toppled backward. "Alana?" he said aloud, forgetting she couldn't hear him. "Baby, where are you?" The voicemail continued. "I tried calling earlier," she said. "They put something in my IV. I'm so tired." A pause. Then fear crept into her voice. "Dad, I hear people talking. They think I'm asleep." Marcus's chest tightened. Another pause. Her breathing slowed. "If you get this," she whispered, "please don't leave." The message ended. Marcus dropped the phone. It hit the carpet softly, but the sound echoed in his head like a gunshot. His daughter had been alive. After they told him she was dead. After he signed the papers. After he said goodbye. "No," Marcus said, shaking his head. "No, no, no." He grabbed his phone and called the hospital. Straight to voicemail. He called again. Busy signal. Anger surged, hot and uncontrollable. He called his assistant. "Get the hospital director on the line," he snapped. "Now." Within minutes, his phone rang. "Marcus," the director said cautiously, "I was just informed." "Where is my daughter?" Marcus demanded. Silence. Then the director cleared his throat. "Mr. Bell, according to our records, your daughter was transferred to post-operative holding." Marcus felt his knees weaken. "You told me she was dead." "Yes," the director said carefully, "but there appears to have been a documentation error." "An error?" Marcus laughed, hard, broken. "You buried her," he said. "You prepared her body." The director's voice dropped. "We need you to come back immediately." Marcus grabbed his keys. As he rushed out the door, his phone buzzed again. Unknown number. He answered without slowing. "Yes?" A whisper came through the line. "Mr. Bell," a woman said, "if you're coming back, hurry." "Why?" Marcus asked, heart pounding. "Because," she said, "they just moved her." The call disconnected. Marcus froze. Moved her where? Marcus broke every speed limit law on the way back to the hospital. Red lights meant nothing. His mind replayed Alana's voicemail on a cruel loop. "Please don't leave." His hands clenched the steering wheel so hard his knuckles turned white. When he arrived, the hospital looked different. Colder. Hostile. Security guards stood at the entrance where there had been none before. Marcus pushed past them. "I'm Marcus Bell," he said. "Move." One guard raised a hand. "Sir, visiting hours are—" "My daughter is inside," Marcus growled. "Alive." That word froze them. Alive. They stepped aside. Inside, the smell of disinfectant hit him like a wall. Nurses moved faster than before, avoided eye contact. Conversation stopped when he passed. He followed the signs to post-operative holding. Room 317, empty. The bed was made, clean, unused. Marcus's chest tightened. "Where is she?" he demanded, grabbing a passing nurse. The woman stiffened. I don't know who you're talking about." "Alana Bell," Marcus said. 16, brown eyes, curly hair. You had her here." The nurse's eyes flicked to the hallway, then back to him. "She was transferred," she whispered. "Transferred where?" "I shouldn't say." Marcus leaned closer. "You already told me she was dead," he said quietly. "I'm past caring about your rules." The nurse swallowed. "They moved her to the lower level," she said. "Temporary holding." Marcus frowned. "There is no medical unit on the lower level." The nurse's face drained of color. "That's all I can tell you," she said quickly, pulling away. Marcus headed toward the elevators. They wouldn't go below level 1. He slammed the button again. Nothing. A maintenance worker nearby cleared his throat. "Stairs go down," the man said softly, pointing to a gray door. "But people don't usually come back from there." Marcus stared at him. "What's down there?" The man hesitated. "Old wards," he said. "Storage. Decommissioned rooms." Marcus pushed the door open. The stairwell smelled damp, forgotten. Each step downward felt heavier than the last. Level B1, B2, B3. The lights flickered. At the bottom, a single corridor stretched ahead, dim, silent. And at the far end, a gurney, covered. Marcus's breath caught. He took one step forward, then another. A voice echoed behind him. "Mr. Bell." Marcus turned. A woman stood at the stairwell entrance. The same voice from the phone. She shook her head urgently. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered. "They're preparing the body." Marcus's blood ran cold. "Preparing it for what?" he asked. The woman looked past him, toward the gurney. "For release," she said. "For the funeral." Marcus took another step toward the gurney. The woman rushed forward and grabbed his arm. "Don't," she whispered sharply. "Please, get out of my way," Marcus said, his voice low and dangerous. Her grip tightened. "If you see her now, they'll know I helped you," she said, "and then they'll finish this." "Finish what?" Marcus's chest burned. "Who are you?" he asked. "My name is Lila," she said. "I work nights. Not a nurse, not a doctor, just someone who still looks." She glanced down the corridor. They made a mistake in surgery, Lila continued. She didn't die. She went into a deep reaction. They panicked. Marcus's heart pounded. So why tell me she was dead? Because if they admit she's alive now, Lila said, someone loses their license, maybe their freedom. Marcus looked back at the covered gurney. His daughter, alive, then abandoned. Let me see her, he said. Lila shook her head. They've already sedated her again, she said. They're rushing paperwork, release forms, transport orders. For what? Lila swallowed. To move her out of the hospital. Marcus's breath caught. Move her where? Lila didn't answer. Footsteps echoed from above. Voices. Someone was coming. Lila backed away. Go, she whispered, before they see you. Marcus didn't move. The footsteps got closer. A man in a white coat rounded the corner, flanked by two orderlies. Dr. Hendricks, the same doctor who told Marcus his daughter was dead. His eyes widened when he saw Marcus. What are you doing down here? The doctor demanded. Marcus stepped forward. I'm here for my daughter, he said, alive or dead. That lie ends now. Dr. Hendricks glanced at the gurney, then at Lila. Understanding flashed across his face. You, he said coldly, leave. Lila hesitated. Now, he snapped. She ran. Dr. Hendricks exhaled slowly and straightened his coat. This area is restricted, he said. Your daughter is being prepared for release. Release to whom? Marcus asked. The doctor smiled thinly. To you, he said, for burial. Marcus's fists clenched. She's breathing, Marcus said. I heard her voice. Dr. Hendricks stepped closer. That was residual brain activity, he said calmly. Nothing more. Marcus leaned in until they were inches apart. You're lying, he said. Dr. Hendricks's smile faded. Be careful, Mr. Bell, he said quietly. Dead patients don't make accusations. The orderlies reached for the gurney. Marcus moved to block them, and in that moment, the sheet shifted, just slightly, enough to see a finger twitch beneath the fabric. Everyone froze. The room went silent. No footsteps, no voices, just the low hum of fluorescent lights. Marcus stared at the covered gurney. That, he said slowly pointing, was movement. Dr. Hendricks laughed, too quickly. A muscle reflex, he said. Perfectly normal after... It was a finger, Marcus snapped. My daughter's finger. One of the orderlies shifted uncomfortably. Dr. Hendricks shot him a warning look. Proceed, the doctor ordered. The orderly hesitated. Doctor, he muttered. I saw it too. Marcus stepped forward, pulling the sheet back before anyone could stop him. Alana's face was pale, but not lifeless. Her chest rose, then fell. Breathing. Alana, Marcus whispered, falling to his knees. I'm here. I'm right here. Her eyelids fluttered. Dr. Hendricks swore under his breath. This room is now a legal liability, he said sharply. Step away from the patient. Marcus looked up, rage burning through his grief. You declared her dead, he said. You made me sign papers. The situation changed, the doctor said. These things happen. Marcus stood. No, he said. This doesn't. He pulled out his phone and started recording. Say it again, Marcus said. Say my daughter was dead. Dr. Hendricks froze. You can't film here, he said. I own half the donors in this hospital, Marcus replied. Try stopping me. The doctor glanced at the orderlies. Call security, he said quietly. Before anyone moved, Alana's lips parted. Dad, she whispered. Marcus's breath caught. I'm here, he said, voice breaking. You're not going anywhere. Security footsteps thundered from the stairwell. Lila's words echoed in his mind. They'll finish this. The two guards rushed in. "Sir," one said, "you need to step away." Marcus didn't move. "You touch her," he said, "and this building will never recover." The guards hesitated. Dr. Hendricks clenched his jaw. "This patient is being transferred," he said. "Now." "Over my dead body," Marcus said. The guards looked at each other, then reluctantly backed down. Dr. Hendricks exhaled sharply. "Fine," he said. "Move her upstairs. ICU." Marcus didn't relax, because he saw it then, a black folder in the doctor's hand, stamped in red, "Release approved, 3 p.m." The time was 2:52. 8 minutes. 8 minutes from losing her again. Marcus leaned close to the doctor. "If she disappears," he said quietly, "I will burn everything you've built." Dr. Hendricks met his eyes. "This isn't over," he said. And Marcus knew the real fight had just begun. Alana was rushed upstairs, surrounded by machines and wires. Marcus followed closely, refusing to let anyone shut the curtain between them. Every beep of the monitor felt like a countdown. ICU doors slid open, then stopped. A man in a dark suit stepped into the hallway. Not a doctor, not security, administration. "Mr. Bell," the man said calmly, "I'm Thomas Reeves, hospital legal counsel." Marcus didn't slow. "I don't care who you are," he said. "Move." Reeves raised a folder. "We need to pause," he said. "There's a complication." Marcus laughed without humor. "She's breathing," he said. "That's the complication." Reeves lowered his voice. "According to official records," he said, "your daughter was pronounced deceased at 10:31 a.m. "And that was a lie?" Marcus snapped. "Yes," Reeves said, "which means this situation now falls under incident containment." Marcus stopped walking. "Containment?" he repeated. Reeves nodded. "If this becomes public before we resolve internal liability, it could cause serious damage." Marcus stepped closer. "You buried my daughter on paper," he said. "I don't care about your damage." Reeves glanced toward the ICU. "There is already a funeral scheduled," he said. "Transportation has been arranged." Marcus felt his blood run cold. "You scheduled a funeral," he said slowly, "while she was alive." Reeves didn't deny it. "That paperwork has already been filed with the county," he said. "Reversing it takes time." "How much time?" Marcus demanded. Reeves checked his watch. 3 hours. 3 hours. Marcus looked through the ICU window. Alana lay unconscious, the tubes in her mouth. She looked smaller than he remembered. "We are willing to cooperate," Reeves continued, "if you cooperate with us." Marcus turned. "What does that mean?" "It means," Reeves said carefully, "no police, no media, no statements." Marcus shook his head. "You don't get to negotiate," he said. Reeves sighed. "There is also a transport order," he added, "approved by a senior physician." Marcus's heart pounded. "Transport to where?" Reeves hesitated. "A long-term care facility," he said. "Out of state?" Marcus stepped back. "You're trying to make her disappear." "That is an unfair interpretation," Reeves said. "No," Marcus replied. "It's an accurate one." A nurse rushed up. "Mr. Bell?" she whispered urgently. "Someone from the morgue just called." Marcus stiffened. "Why?" he asked. "They said," the nurse continued, "the body scheduled for your daughter's funeral was already released." Marcus's mind raced. "If she's here," he said slowly, "then whose body is going into that coffin?" The nurse swallowed. "We don't know." Marcus turned back to Reeves. "You messed with the wrong father," he said quietly. Reeves met his gaze. "Mr. Bell," he said, "this hospital has survived worse." Marcus looked at his daughter. "Not me," he said. Marcus stood in the ICU hallway staring through the glass at his daughter, alive, breathing, fighting, and somewhere else. A coffin was being prepared in her name. He pulled out his phone and made a call. "Cancel the funeral," he said. The voice on the other end hesitated. "Sir, everything is already in motion." "Stop it," Marcus snapped. "Now." "I can't," the man replied. "The body has been released to the funeral home." Marcus closed his eyes. "Whose body?" he asked quietly. Silence. "That's what I thought," Marcus said, and hung up. Behind him, Lila appeared. Her face was pale. Her hands shook. "They're panicking," she whispered. "People are scrambling. Files are disappearing." Marcus turned to her. "Then talk," he said. "Tell me everything." Lila glanced around. "I saw the chart before they changed it," she said. "Your daughter went into respiratory failure, not cardiac arrest." "So she never died," Marcus said. "No," Lila replied. "She was stable until they sedated her again." Marcus's jaw tightened. "Who ordered that?" Lila swallowed. "Dr. Hendricks didn't," she said. "Someone above him did." Marcus felt a chill above. "How high?" he asked. Lila shook her head. "I don't know," she said, "but I know this. If she wakes up and speaks, everything falls apart." As if summoned by the words, Alana's monitor spiked. A nurse rushed in. "She's waking," the nurse said. "Lightening sedation." Marcus stepped forward. "I'm staying," he said. At that exact moment, Marcus's phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. "This is Bell." A man's voice came through, formal, detached. "Mr. Bell, this is Gracefield Funeral Services. We're calling to confirm your attendance." Marcus's blood went cold. "My attendance?" he repeated. "Yes," the man said. "Your daughter's funeral is scheduled for 4 p.m. Marcus checked the time. 3:12. Less than an hour. "She's alive," Marcus said. The man paused. "I'm sorry, sir," he said slowly, "but the body is already prepared." Marcus lowered the phone. "Listen to me carefully," he said. "If you put that body in the ground, I will own your entire company by morning." Another pause. "Sir," the man replied, "we've already been paid. Cash." Marcus's eyes widened. "By who?" The line went dead. Marcus turned back toward the ICU. Alana's eyes fluttered open. She whispered one word. "Dad." Marcus grabbed her hand. "I'm here," he said. "But listen to me." The monitor beeped faster. Because somewhere across the city, a funeral was about to begin. And the truth was running out of time. The sky was dark with rain when the first mourners arrived. Black umbrellas, silent tears, low whispers. A white coffin sat at the front of the cemetery, polished, sealed. A brass plate on the side read, "Alana Bell, beloved daughter." Inside the funeral tent, rows of chairs filled slowly. So none of them knew the truth. Across town, Alana Bell was breathing, but here she was already dead. The pastor adjusted his collar and glanced at his watch. 4 p.m. sharp. He cleared his throat. "We are gathered here today," he began, "to celebrate the life of a young soul taken too soon." Marcus watched the live stream from the ICU hallway, his jaw clenched. Taken too soon? She wasn't taken at all. She was stolen. His phone buzzed, a message from Lila. "They're lowering the coffin in 20 minutes. Marcus's chest tightened. He looked through the glass. Alana slept again, sedated, her hand wrapped weakly around his finger. "Stay with me," he whispered. "Please." Back at the cemetery, pallbearers stepped forward. Rain soaked their suits. The pastor paused. "Before we proceed," he said, "the family would like a moment of silence." Silence fell, and in that silence, something felt wrong. One of the pallbearers shifted his grip. "Hey," he whispered, "why is this thing so heavy?" Another shrugged. "Casket solid wood," he said. The first man frowned. "It's not that," he said quietly. "It feels wrong." The funeral director glanced over sharply. "Let's move," he said. As they lifted the coffin, a sound came from inside, a dull thud, then another. The pallbearers froze. "Did you hear that?" someone whispered. The funeral director forced a smile. "Settle in," he said. "Wood does that." But the sound came again, 3 knocks, distinct, intentional. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. The pastor stepped back. "What's happening?" a woman asked. The funeral director's face drained of color. "Open it," one pallbearer said. "Right now." "No," the director snapped. "Absolutely not." Across town, Marcus's phone rang. "Unknown number," he answered. "Mr. Bell," a panicked voice said, "you need to get here." Marcus's heart pounded. "Why?" he demanded. The voice dropped to a whisper. "Because the coffin is moving." The knocking came again, louder this time. 3 sharp hits from inside the coffin. People screamed. A woman dropped her umbrella and ran. "This isn't funny," someone shouted. The funeral director backed away, sweat forming on his forehead. "Stop the service," the pastor said, voice shaking. "Something's wrong." The coffin shifted just an inch. That was enough. Pallbearers stumbled backward. One of them fell to his knees. "There's someone alive in there," he gasped. The funeral director snapped, "It's impossible." Across town, Marcus was already moving. "Get my car," he barked into the phone. "Now." At the cemetery, the pastor raised his hands. "Everyone, please remain calm," he said, but no one listened. A man rushed forward and pounded on the coffin. "Hello?" he yelled. "Can you hear me?" Another thud answered him. The crowd erupted. "Open it!" someone screamed. The funeral director shook his head violently. "I don't have authorization." Authorization. The word sounded insane. The man at the coffin grabbed a crowbar from the equipment truck. The director lunged to stop him. Too late. The first nail came loose, then another. Metal screeched. The lid lifted. A woman inside gasped. Sharp, desperate, panicked. Not Alana, not even close. She was older, her face bruised, her eyes wild with terror. The crowd screamed. "Who is that?" someone shouted. "She's alive!" another yelled. The woman coughed violently. "They told me," she wheezed. "They told me I was dead." Sirens wailed in the distance. Police cars screeched to a halt at the cemetery gates. At the hospital, Marcus burst through the ICU doors. "Prepare my daughter for transfer," he ordered. "Now!" Doctors protested. He didn't listen. Back at the cemetery, paramedics rushed to the coffin. The woman clutched one of them. "They switched us," she cried. "They said no one would notice." The funeral director collapsed into a chair. Police surrounded him. "Who paid you?" an officer demanded. He shook his head, trembling. "I don't know," he said. "The money came in cash, unmarked." At the hospital, Lila handed Marcus a folder. "I pulled what I could before they locked the system," she said. "Transport orders, sedation logs." Marcus flipped through the pages, then stopped. One name appeared again and again, Dr. Hendricks. But there was another signature beneath his, someone higher, someone protected. Marcus looked up. "This isn't over," he said. At the cemetery, the woman who escaped the coffin was loaded into an ambulance. As it pulled away, she whispered one last thing to the paramedic. They said the girl wouldn't wake up in time. The paramedic frowned. "What girl?" The woman's eyes filled with fear. "The billionaire's daughter." The hospital went into lockdown within minutes. Security guards lined the corridors. Doors required codes that hadn't existed that morning. Whispers replaced normal conversation. Marcus felt it immediately. This wasn't about saving face anymore. This was about control. Lila walked fast beside him, clutching the folder to her chest. "They're erasing digital trails," she said, "deleting logs, changing timestamps." Marcus didn't slow. "They're too late," he said. Inside the ICU, Alana stirred again. Her breathing was steadier now, her color stronger. Marcus took her hand. "I need you to listen," he whispered. "You're safe, but you have to stay strong." Her eyes fluttered. "Dad," she murmured, "they said you left." His heart cracked. "I didn't," he said firmly. "I swear I didn't." A doctor stepped into the room. Not Hendricks, older, calmer, too calm. "Mr. Bell," the man said, "I'm Dr. Raymond Cole." Marcus turned. "I didn't ask for another doctor." Dr. Cole nodded. "I oversee emergency oversight for this hospital group." Hospital group, not just one building. Marcus felt the shift. "This situation has escalated," Dr. Cole continued. "We want to resolve it quietly." Marcus laughed. "You buried the wrong woman alive," he said. "There is no quiet." Dr. Cole leaned closer. "Your daughter is alive because we allowed it," he said softly. The words hit like a slap. "Allowed?" Marcus repeated. "There are donors," Cole said. "Investors, contracts tied to outcomes." Marcus stared at him. "You're telling me lives are line items?" Dr. Cole didn't deny it. Lila stepped forward, shaking. "I saw the signature," she said, "on the sedation override." Dr. Cole's eyes flicked to her. "Then you saw the name," he replied. Marcus turned to Lila. Her lips trembled. She opened the folder and pointed. "Right there, bottom of the page. R. Cole, Executive Override." The room went silent. Marcus looked back at the man. "You ordered them to sedate my daughter," he said. "Yes," Cole replied evenly, "to buy time." "For what?" Marcus demanded. "For the funeral to proceed," Cole said. "For the mistake to be buried." Marcus stepped closer. "You almost buried my child." Dr. Cole's voice dropped. "And now," he said, "you're standing in the way of something much bigger than you." At that moment, Alana's monitor spiked. Her eyes opened fully. She looked straight at Marcus, then past him, at Dr. Cole. Fear filled her face. "That man?" she whispered. Marcus turned slowly. "What about him?" he asked. Alana swallowed. "He was there," she said, "when they put me back to sleep." The room seemed to tilt. Marcus moved closer to the bed, blocking Alana's view of Dr. Cole without even realizing it. "Alana," he said gently, "tell me what you remember." Her breathing quickened. "They thought I was asleep," she whispered, "but I wasn't. I couldn't move." Marcus felt sick. Dr. Cole took a step forward. "This is highly stressful for her," he said calmly. "She needs rest." "Stay where you are," Marcus said, his voice like steel. Alana swallowed. "I heard them arguing," she continued. "One man said I was stable. Another said it didn't matter." Marcus clenched his jaw. "What didn't matter?" he asked. "Whether I woke up," she said. The words hung in the air. Lila covered her mouth. Dr. Cole's expression didn't change. Alana's eyes filled with tears. They said the paperwork was already done. She whispered that it would be easier if I stayed asleep. Marcus felt rage unlike anything he'd ever known. "Who said that?" he asked. Alana's gaze flicked past him again. "To him," she said softly. Marcus turned. Dr. Cole sighed, as if disappointed. "You're misinterpreting," he said. "Medication can cause confusion." Alana shook her head weakly. "No," she said. "You said my father had already said goodbye." Marcus's chest tightened. "I never left you," he said quickly. "I promise." She squeezed his hand. "I know now," she whispered. "But when I heard that, I was scared." Marcus looked back at Dr. Cole. "You used my grief to silence my child," he said. Dr. Cole straightened. "Mr. Bell," he said, "this hospital treats thousands of patients. One error does not justify destroying an institution." Marcus leaned in. "You buried a woman alive," he said, "and you almost did it again." Dr. Cole's tone hardened. "There are people who depend on this system," he said. "You expose it, and many suffer." Lila spoke up, voice shaking. "People are already suffering," she said, "because of you." Dr. Cole looked at her. "You should leave," he said quietly, "before this costs you more than your job." A nurse rushed in suddenly. "Mr. Bell," she said urgently, "the police are downstairs." Dr. Cole closed his eyes. "Too late." Marcus straightened. "Good," he said, "because this time the truth isn't staying buried." Dr. Cole met his gaze. "This will get ugly," he warned. Marcus looked at his daughter, then back at the man. "It already is," he said. The first police officer entered the ICU with his hand resting on his belt. The second followed close behind. The room instantly felt smaller. "Marcus Bell?" the lead officer asked. "That's me," Marcus said, "and my daughter is the reason you're here." The officer nodded and glanced at Alana. "We received reports of medical misconduct," he said carefully, "and a situation at a funeral." Dr. Cole exhaled slowly. "This is being handled internally," he said. "Law enforcement isn't necessary." The officer turned to him. "And you are?" "Dr. Raymond Cole," he replied. "Executive oversight?" The officer raised an eyebrow. "Good," he said. "Then you can explain why a woman was sealed in a coffin while still alive." Silence. Lila stepped forward, holding the folder with both hands. "I can," she said. "I have records, sedation logs, transport orders, override signatures." She handed the folder to the officer. The pages flipped. The officer's expression hardened with every turn. "These are serious allegations," he said. "They're not allegations," Marcus replied. "They're facts." Dr. Cole cleared his throat. "You need to understand," he said. "This hospital serves powerful interests." The officer looked up. "So does the law," he said. Another officer stepped into the room. "Sir," he said to the first, "media vans are pulling up outside." Dr. Cole's face tightened. "How?" he asked. Marcus held up his phone. "I made one call," he said. "Just one." Dr. Cole stared at him. "You just triggered something you can't stop," he said. Marcus didn't blink. "Good." The officer turned to Dr. Cole. "Doctor," he said, "we're going to need you to come with us." "This is outrageous," Cole snapped. "I haven't been charged with anything." The officer nodded. "No," he said, "but you will be." As Dr. Cole was escorted out, he leaned toward Marcus one last time. "This system will survive you," he whispered. Marcus looked at his daughter. "No," he said quietly, "it won't survive the truth." Outside, cameras flashed, reporters shouted questions. Inside the ICU, Alana squeezed Marcus's hand. "Dad," she said softly, "am I really safe now?" Marcus swallowed. "Yes," he said, "but we're not done yet." Because even as Dr. Cole was taken away, Marcus knew this wasn't just one man. It was a network, and networks don't fall quietly. By nightfall, the story was everywhere. Billionaire's daughter declared dead, found alive. Hospital cover-up exposed. Woman buried alive at funeral. Television screens in the ICU replayed the headlines on loop. Marcus watched silently. This was bigger than him now. Alana slept peacefully for the first time since surgery, surrounded by guards Marcus had hired himself. No hospital security. His. Lila stood by the window, phone pressed to her ear. Her face was pale. "They know my name," she whispered when she hung up. "Someone posted my address online." Marcus turned sharply. "Pack a bag," he said. "You're not going home." She shook her head. "I never wanted this," she said. "I just didn't want her to die." "You saved her," Marcus replied. "That makes you a target." A knock came at the door. Marcus tensed. A nurse peeked in. "There's a delivery," she said. "For Mr. Bell." Marcus stepped into the hallway. A small box sat on a cart. No return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper. Typed, "Drop the case." This was a warning. Marcus felt a cold calm settle over him. He folded the note carefully. "They're scared," he said. Back inside, Alana stirred. "Dad?" she murmured. He sat beside her. "Everything's okay," he said. "Just rest." She frowned slightly. "They were arguing again?" she said sleepily. "On the phone?" Marcus stiffened. "When?" he asked gently. "Before the police came," she said. "They said someone powerful was angry." Marcus nodded slowly. Powerful. That word again. Later that night, Marcus received a call from an unfamiliar number. He answered. "Mr. Bell," a man said smoothly, "this has gone far enough." Marcus leaned back in his chair. "Not even close," he replied. "You're damaging institutions," the voice said. "People will suffer." "They already did," Marcus said. A pause. "You can walk away," the voice continued. "We'll make it worth your while." Marcus smiled without humor. "You already tried," he said. "You almost killed my daughter." The line went dead. Marcus looked at Lila. "They think money fixes everything," he said. She nodded. "But what if it doesn't?" she asked. Marcus looked at Alana, then at the cameras outside. "Then," he said, "this time, they lose." Marcus didn't sleep that night. He sat in a chair beside Alana's bed, watching her chest rise and fall, counting every breath like it could disappear if he looked away. Just before dawn, his phone vibrated. A text. "Unknown number. If you want this to end, come alone." Yet Marcus stared at the message. Then another came through. "A civil settlement has already been prepared." Marcus exhaled slowly. They weren't backing down. They were escalating. He handed the phone to Lila. "They're moving," he said, "which means we're close." Minutes later, a police detective Marcus hadn't met yet entered the room. Detective Harris. Plain clothes, sharp eyes. "We pulled financial records from the funeral home," Harris said quietly. "The cash payment was routed through a shell foundation." Marcus nodded. "Whose?" Harris slid a tablet across the table. A name glowed on the screen. Eastridge Medical Trust. Marcus stiffened. That trust didn't belong to the hospital. It belonged to Caleb Eastridge, billionaire philanthropist, hospital builder, Marcus's former mentor. the man who helped Marcus break into the upper circles years ago. Marcus leaned back slowly. "No," he whispered. Harris nodded grimly. "Dr. Cole reports directly to him," the detective said. "Always has." The room felt colder. All the pieces clicked into place. The pressure, the money, the confidence. This wasn't damage control. This was protection. Alana stirred again. "Dad?" she said softly. "Why do you look scared?" Marcus forced a smile. "I'm not scared," he said. "Just disappointed." Later that morning, Marcus stood alone in a private conference room at the hospital. The door opened. Caleb Eastridge walked in. Silver hair, perfect suit, familiar smile. "Marcus," he said warmly, "I was hoping we could talk like civilized men." Marcus didn't stand. "You paid to bury a living woman," Marcus said flatly. Caleb sighed. "A tragic chain of events," he replied, "one that didn't need to become public." "You almost killed my daughter," Marcus said. Caleb met his eyes. "And yet," he said calmly, "she's alive." Marcus leaned forward. "You taught me something once," he said. "That power reveals who you really are." Caleb smiled thinly. "And you forgot the rest," he said. "Power also decides who wins." Marcus stood. "We'll see," he said. Because now the enemy had a face, and Marcus Bell never lost when the truth was on his side. Caleb Eastridge closed the door behind him with a soft click. The room felt instantly smaller. "I didn't come here to fight you," Caleb said calmly. "I came to save you from yourself." Marcus folded his arms. "You came to silence me," he said. Caleb smiled faintly. "Semantics." He walked to the window, looking down at the city like it belonged to him. "You're emotional," Caleb continued. "Any father would be, but emotions fade. Consequences don't." Marcus didn't blink. "My daughter almost died," he said. "This ends with the truth." Caleb turned. "And what happens to her when this becomes a circus?" he asked. "When cameras follow her to school? When strangers know her name?" Marcus felt the sting. "You think I don't worry about that?" he said. "I know you do," Caleb replied. "That's why this offer is generous." He slid a folder across the table. Inside were documents, trust funds, lifetime security, a private medical wing named after Alana. "All of this goes away," Caleb said, "if you keep going." Marcus closed the folder. "You're trying to buy my silence," he said. "I'm trying to protect your family," Caleb corrected. Marcus stood. "You threatened her?" he said quietly. Caleb shook his head. "No," he said. "I warned you." A knock interrupted them. Detective Harris stepped in. "Mr. Bell," he said, "we need to move you and your daughter to a secure location." Caleb sighed. "You see," he said, "it's already messy." Marcus looked at him. "You're scared," Marcus said. "Not for me, for yourself." Caleb's smile faded. "You don't understand the scale of this," he said. "There are hospitals like this in 5 states. Marcus felt his resolve harden. "Then 5 states will hear the truth," he said. Caleb leaned closer. "You're not as powerful as you think," he whispered. Marcus met his gaze. "Neither are you," he said. "You just hid it longer." As Caleb left, he paused at the door. "If anything happens to that girl," he said softly, "it won't be an accident." Marcus's voice dropped to ice. "If anything happens to my daughter," he said, "the world will know exactly who did it." The door closed. Marcus exhaled slowly. This wasn't a lawsuit anymore. It was war, and he wasn't backing down. The courthouse steps were packed before sunrise. News vans lined the street. Cameras waited like predators. Marcus arrived holding Alana's hand. She wore a simple dress and sneakers. No makeup, no smile, just strength. Inside, the courtroom filled quickly. Caleb Eastridge sat at the defense table, calm as ever, surrounded by lawyers. Dr. Cole sat 2 rows behind him, pale and silent. When Alana entered, every head turned. The judge called the room to order. The prosecutor stood. "This case," she said, "is about a system that decided certain lives were expendable." Caleb's lawyers objected. The judge overruled. Lila took the stand first. Her voice shook at first, then steadied. "I saw them sedate her a second time," she said. "I saw the override." "Who authorized it?" the prosecutor asked. Lila swallowed. "Dr. Cole," she said, "on orders from above." The prosecutor nodded. "And who was above him?" Lila pointed. Caleb Eastridge didn't flinch. Gasps rippled through the room. Next, the woman from the coffin testified. Her hands trembled as she spoke. "They told me I was already dead," she said, "that it would be quick." The courtroom went silent. Then came Alana. Marcus squeezed her hand once before she stepped forward. She took a deep breath. "I heard them say my father had said goodbye," she said. "So it didn't matter if I woke up?" Caleb's lawyer stood. Objection, emotional distress. "Overruled," the judge said firmly. Alana looked directly at Caleb. "You were there," she said. "You watched." For the first time, Caleb looked away. The prosecutor turned to the jury. "This wasn't negligence," she said. "It was a decision." The judge leaned forward. "Mr. Eastridge," he said, "you will answer these charges." Outside, headlines flashed. "Billionaire philanthropist charged hospital cover-up exposed." Marcus watched from his seat, tears threatening to fall. This was the moment. Not revenge, justice, and it was only the beginning. The courtroom held its breath. Caleb Eastridge sat motionless as the judge reviewed the evidence one final time. Medical logs, financial transfers, recorded phone calls. Now, the system he built to protect himself had become the rope tightening around his neck. The prosecutor stood. "Mr. Eastridge didn't panic," she said. "He calculated. He chose silence over life." Caleb's lawyer leaned over, whispering urgently. For the first time, Caleb looked tired. The judge adjusted his glasses. "Mr. Eastridge," he said, "you are charged with criminal negligence, conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and reckless endangerment resulting in severe bodily harm." Murmurs exploded through the room. Caleb stood slowly. "I saved hospitals," he said calmly. "I kept systems running." The judge's voice cut through him. "You sacrificed people to do it." Caleb opened his mouth to respond, then stopped, because Detective Harris stood. "Your Honor," he said, "all new evidence has just been submitted." He handed a flash drive to the clerk. Marcus frowned. He hadn't known about this. The video played on the courtroom screen, security footage, a hospital corridor, Caleb Eastridge arguing with Dr. Cole. The audio was faint, but clear enough. "She can't wake up," Caleb said on the recording. "The funeral is already paid for." Gasps filled the courtroom. Caleb's face drained of color. "That's fabricated," his lawyer shouted. The judge slammed the gavel. "Sit down," he ordered. The video continued. "And if the father pushes?" Dr. Cole asked. Caleb's voice followed. "Then we outlast him." Silence fell like a hammer. The judge turned slowly toward Caleb. "You will be remanded into custody," he said. Handcuffs clicked shut. For the first time, the man who ruled rooms couldn't speak. As officers led him away, Caleb turned toward Marcus, not angry, not defiant, afraid. Marcus met his gaze. You were wrong about one thing, Marcus said quietly. Caleb paused. I outlasted you. Outside, reporters screamed questions. Marcus ignored them. He knelt in front of Alana. It's almost over, he said. She nodded. But not yet, she replied softly. And Marcus realized she was right. Because justice doesn't end at conviction. It ends at healing. The world didn't end when the verdict came down. It just slowed. News trucks disappeared one by one. Headlines gave way to newer scandals. The noise faded. But inside Marcus Bell's life, everything had changed. Alana was moved to a private recovery facility overlooking the ocean. Not because Marcus wanted luxury, but because she needed peace. Every morning, Marcus sat beside her bed with a cup of untouched coffee, watching sunlight spill across the floor. Some days she talked. Other days she stared out the window, quiet, distant. Healing wasn't loud. It was slow, uneven, fragile. One afternoon, Alana finally broke the silence. Dad, she said, do you feel guilty too? Marcus looked at her. Every day, he said honestly. She nodded. I keep thinking, if I hadn't gone into surgery, none of this would have happened. Marcus shook his head firmly. No, he said. This happened because people chose convenience over courage. She looked at him. And you? She asked. What did you choose? Marcus swallowed. I chose work, he said. Too often. Alana reached for his hand. You came back, she said. That matters. For the first time since the hospital, Marcus cried without breaking. Lila visited once a week. She'd been given protection, a new job, a new life. Still, she carried guilt. I didn't do enough, she said once. Marcus looked at her. You did the hardest thing, he replied. You spoke. Across the country, investigations spread. Hospitals shut down. Boards resigned. Policies changed. People called Marcus a hero. He hated the word. Heroes arrived on time. One evening, Marcus stood alone on the balcony, watching waves crash below. He thought about the woman from the coffin, about how close the world came to losing 2 lives that day. Alana joined him, wrapped in a blanket. Dad, she said softly, what happens now? Marcus looked at her. Now, he said, we live. She smiled faintly, and in that moment, Marcus understood something he never had before. Survival isn't victory, it's responsibility. Months later, Marcus returned to the hospital, not as a patient's father, not as a billionaire donor, but as a witness. The building was quieter now, different names on the walls, different rules in place. Marcus stood in the same hallway where his world had once ended, the same spot where a doctor told him 4 words that nearly destroyed him. She didn't make it. He closed his eyes. Then he felt a hand slip into his. Alana stood beside him, stronger, healthier, alive. You don't have to come in, Marcus said softly. She shook her head. I want to, she replied. I don't want to be afraid of this place anymore. They walked together. In a small conference room, Marcus addressed hospital staff, regulators, and families. His voice was calm, measured. I once believed power could protect the people I loved, he said. I was wrong. He paused. The day I said goodbye to my daughter, I thought money had failed me. He looked at Alana. But it wasn't money that brought her back, he continued. It was truth, it was courage, and it was one person choosing not to look away. Lila sat in the back of the room. Marcus met her eyes and nodded. Later that afternoon, Marcus and Alana stood outside under a clear sky. No cameras, no reporters, just them. Dad, Alana said quietly, do you still think about that day? Marcus nodded. Every day, he said, but not the same way. How? She asked. I remember the goodbye, he said, so I never waste another hello. Alana smiled. Years later, people would tell the story. They would say, a black billionaire lost everything, then found what mattered. They would talk about corruption, power, and justice. But Marcus would remember something simpler, the sound of his daughter's voice, calling him back from the worst moment of his life. He had said goodbye forever, but forever didn't take her. And that was the day Marcus Bell learned the truth. Some endings are lies. And sometimes the heartbeat you thought was gone is just waiting to be heard again. If this story moved you, like the video and subscribe, because the next story may change the way you see life. Comment below. What would you have done if you were in his place?